Hey, I'm Dave Watkins, Watkins Films. Today we're going to take a look at the recent 4K release of the epic spaghetti western Once Upon a Time in the West, directed by Sergio Leone, who was the pioneer of the spaghetti western. Now, this was released as a Paramount Presents release, and this is number 44 of that particular line. A lot of this was actually shot in the United States, where the other spaghetti westerns were often shot in Europe. Before this, he made The Man with No Name trilogy, starring Clint Eastwood, and included the films A Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But so let's take a look at the packaging here before we get into the movie. So on the front cover, we see all four of the main characters. Frank, played by Henry Fonda. Jason Robards plays Cheyenne. Charles Bronson plays a kind of man with no name, like Clint Eastwood did in the Dollars trilogy, but a little bit different. And we'll get into that in a few minutes. And Claudia Cardinale plays Jill. So this is a slipcover, but it is not a normal slipcover. It does this. It opens up, and you see some more pictures of the cast, and also this is a drawn out scene from the opening sequence of this movie, which we'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. Let's take this slipcover off, and then this cover art, I really do like this cover art as well. And then inside we have two discs. We have a 4K and the Blu-ray here. And there's something behind here. This is a lot of times there'll be the original theatrical poster, but that's not what we have here. We just have some more type of pictures, which is an interesting thing. And also a review. It says this is one of Sergio Leone's great films. Some people would mark this as the grand finale of westerns. As Leonard Maltin said that. But there were other westerns that came after this that I really like Tombstone, for instance, and Silverado. And of course, the show Deadwood did a very good job of kind of reviving it, but it's a show and not a movie. So the first time I saw this movie, it was on a VHS tape. I remember that clearly because I remember the scene that started on the second tape. I remember that very well. It's the scene where Henry Fonda is in bed with Claudia Cardinale. So that and it kind of comes out of nowhere in the movie. So I remember that pretty clearly. So I really enjoyed this movie the first time I saw it, but after rewatching it, I love it even more. I think this is a terrific western movie, and it's just as good, if not better, than the Clint Eastwood movies. As far as the 4K transfer, they did a good job with it. Everything, it looks to be upgraded. Obviously, it's going to be a lot better than the VHS, but everything looks very crisp and sharp for the most part. There may be some imperfections to it, but it may be some cleanup, in some areas. But it played very nice for me, and I think you can see a lot more detail on people's faces, and Sergio Leone's style of filmmaking, it would go from an extreme close-up to a very wide shot, and all of it played very nice. And I think this is the biggest television I've seen this movie on. The opening scene of this movie is very classic Sergio Leone. It starts out at this train station. These three outlaw guys show up, and they force the guy running the place into a closet. They're planning on killing somebody who's getting off of the train, and the train this goes on for a while. They're sitting there waiting, and the credits happen, and it's just a lot of build up of anticipation about what's going to happen once the train gets there. The train gets there, and nobody gets off, and then it goes, and then the man with no name appears on the other side playing a harmonica. It's Charles Bronson playing the character. It is a character that was originally offered to Clint Eastwood, but he turned it down. and Charles Bronson wasn't that big of a star yet when they made this movie. He gets fourth billing in the opening credits, with Claudia Cardinale getting top billing, but it is almost an ensemble piece where there are four main characters. I think if Clint Eastwood would have been in the movie, he would have probably gotten either top billing or he probably would have gotten top billing, more than likely. This character is a lot different than the character that Charles Bronson plays in Once Upon a Time in the West. The character Charles Bronson plays, known as Harmonica, is a character who is out for revenge. Unlike he is a revenge-seeking character. Now, Clint Eastwood eventually did do a similar character in High Plains Drifter and Pale Rider. Then Charles Bronson shows up, and then they have a shootout, and he kills all three of them. It's badass. And then the next scene, Henry Fonda's character is introduced. Now, Henry Fonda plays against type in this movie. His name's Frank in the movie, and he plays a villain. Now, Henry Fonda was, before this, even really after this, he mostly played good guys. He was known for like 12 Angry Men, where he played juror number 8, the only juror who initially voted not guilty, and then he has to convince everybody else that is the way to go. And he played Wyatt Earp in My Darling Clementine, and he did a lot of he was mostly known for playing a good guy. So it was very interesting to see him cast against type here, and he's very menacing, and he has the way his eyes are very blue and they really stick out. So the first scene you see him in, there's some homesteaders who have a property, and it's revealed that the dad had just gotten married. The new wife's showing up. They're about to go get her from the train station. That's when Henry Fonda and his henchmen show up, and they slaughter everybody there, except for a little kid who's inside of the house. The little kid comes out, and then there's a question of, do we kill one of the guys? Like, Frank, should we kill this kid? And then Henry Fonda spits, and he says, now that you've told him my name, I guess we're going to have to. And then he kills the kid. And Henry Fonda was reluctant to take this role initially, and Sergio Leone had to go and talk him into it. And he apparently talked him into it by talking about that scene and how shocking it would be to have people see Henry Fonda just point blank shoot this kid and kill him, which he does. The character Frank is working for a guy who owns a part of the railroad, a crippled guy who's very intelligent. And he doesn't necessarily approve of Frank's methods, but Frank is, because you can see Frank in the flashback when he's more of a thug and a lot more mean-spirited. He seems to have evolved some from that character, but because you see him kill the kid, but he does seem to be reluctant about killing it, perhaps because he doesn't. I mean, he could be just trying to make the guy feel like guilty about shooting him, but it does seem like he may not have shot the kid had the guy not said his name, but. He did say his name, so we don't know if that's really a fact or not. But he does do some things in this movie, like sending the guys out to kill Charles Bronson's character to begin with. So Claudia Cardinale, when she first shows up, now there's this amazing shot. When she arrives at the train station, and it's like a wide shot. She walks through this train station, and then the camera cranes up past the top of this train station roof, and then it reveals this town that is being built. A lot of it's already built, but it's kind of and it's an amazing shot. You'll have to check that out. And then her character, of course, is coming to the homestead to where her husband is killed. So she now owns the property, which her family was killed for. So now she is in a very dangerous situation, and that a lot of the drama in the movie revolves around that dynamic, and it is somewhat centered around her. She does receive top billing, but she's not necessarily the main character, as it is ensemble. But she is most of the action is centered around what she's doing. The fourth main character, Jason Robards, plays a bandit called Cheyenne, and he comes out at first and he seems like he might be he is definitely dangerous, but he's not as cruel or mean as he appears. He actually seems to be somewhat friendly. In some parts of the movie, he teams up with Charles Bronson's character. They have similar goals, so it's the dynamic between those two is very interesting throughout. Now, I probably have given away a lot more of the movie than I should have, but this is one I would highly recommend watching. It is Once Upon a Time in the West, and let me know your opinion of it in the comments below. If you would like the video, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe.